Radar Update. My name is Daniel Vallis from InformedChristians.com, a website ministry devoted to discerning current events from a Christian and biblical perspective. This is a warning about what we see going on right now, but it is not a prediction. I do not know the future, but I can show you what is going on right now, and many celestial and prophetic signs point to that something is about to happen. We see just a few hours before the Jewish New Year starts, which starts month 1, and we've seen so many prophetic signs and celestial signs building up to this time period. Now, we don't know what day anything's going to happen, and prophetically things may even go a few days beyond that. We're going to look at that now. But we see that time is quickly running out, and a lot of types and shadows and patterns and celestial signs, so much coming together in just these few days right now. Now, the asteroid claimed the other day that supposedly went on by, so we'll take that off the timeline. We talked before about the type and shadow of the crossing of Jordan. That picture is recorded as happening on the same day as what is commonly known as Palm Sunday. So we see that shadow arriving as well right in this time frame. And today, Jupiter is now shining at its brightest. Astronomers say it is closest to the Earth right now, and so it is shining the brightest. And that is a pattern and picture of the Messiah, the King. Now, we had noted right back in Purim, right on February 23rd, that Jupiter and the moon traveled together then throughout the night, and is very spectacular to see. I saw it myself, but it's going to be doing it again in just a few days. On March 21st, the moon is going to be closest to Jupiter. So they're going to be traveling together again a little closer this time on March 21st. So again, that's in a few days, and it's interesting to see how Jupiter being the brightest is almost down to the day right in between both of these two events. So we find very unique celestial signs hemming in between Purim and Passover with the king and his bride. Again, I do not know the future, but there is something very special about this time, and we need to be sober, and we need to be vigilant, and we need to watch. And most importantly, we need to be ready. Now, right now, it is anticipated that on the 10th, will be the sighting of the new moon, which will signal the start of day 1, month 1 of the next Jewish year. However, keep in mind that there is a possibility that it might be pushed back a day, because it depends on visual sighting. But right now, it is expected that it might be sighted on the 10th. But on the 10th, it's still going to be pretty slim, so there is a possibility that it might be pushed back one day. So we always just need to keep this in mind. It might be pushed back one day. It's going to be real close to the horizon on the 10th. It'll still be pretty fresh over there in the east, so keep that in mind. So if it's not sighted on the 10th, when it would normally be expected, by default, it's pushed back one day. And so that just pushes some of the symbols and patterns back one day. And so we just need to keep this in mind, but we'll address that as we come to it, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. But just keep that in mind that there is that possibility. If you have not yet, download our booklet with more information on all the celestial signs and what's going on right now. Exodus 2, the bride goes to the king's house, talking about this 12-month, 2-part Esther pattern that we've been seeing with all the prophetic and celestial signs of purification and preparation. The link is in the description box. If you have had clear skies lately, I highly encourage you to go out and look at Leo, the constellation in the sky, and Jupiter. It's really beautiful. We've had a bunch of clear skies lately. So it's just been beautiful to see almost every single night. I go out and look at it. And it's a reminder of the reality of the celestial signs and everything going on right now. And Jupiter is very important, and there's a lot more that could be said about the patterns and types in the Bible especially. But just looking at it from the King and the Messiah, let's take a look at the path of Jupiter from September 2014 to November 2018. And we'll see some interesting movements on this celestial clock. Right here is Leo, the constellation. And then right next to it is Virgo, the Virgin. And these are astronomy constellations that you can see right up in the sky. And right now, today, Jupiter is right at the hind paw of Leo. The planet reaches a March opposition, which means it's closest to Earth, just west of the star Sigma Leonis, the rear paw of the Lion. The westernary stationary point is reached in May 2016, after which the planet will resume direct motion toward Virgo, the Virgin. So it's doing a little loop-de-loop right now, but right now, today, it is right near the paw of Leo the Lion, and in May, it's going to start making a direct path to Virgo. And in November, around November 20th, is when it's going to enter specifically the constellation of Virgo. And it's going to be looping around in there. It's going to enter what's called retrograde motion. And it's going to be within the constellation for 41 weeks, which is normally representative of a normal pregnancy, till September 9th, 2017, when it starts exiting the constellation. And on September 23rd, 2017, Jupiter will be passing through her legs, being with child, and it will symbolize and represent a pregnancy. And this is the September 23rd, 2017 Revelation 12 sign that others have talked about, and we don't have time to go into detail here on it, but we do have some resources on it. So we see several major celestial events coming up right now just with Jupiter. And when we see where we are right now, it should catch our attention. We're right at the hind foot of Leo. And these two constellations in different biblical prophecies, these two go together. To understand the Revelation 12 sign, you also need to understand the Leo connotations that go with it, because it is part of understanding the Revelation 12 sign. And the Revelation 12 sign is a celestial marker, an astronomical marker that points to the middle of the tribulation. And in our video Time CERN in the Bible, and also in our articles on the same subject, we talk about how this is possible. But that marker signals when Satan is going to lose. And he is trying to avoid that date like crazy. From that point on, his time is very short. And the Revelation 12 sign, the main focus is on the woman. Her child has already been born pattern-wise, in heaven, the Messiah. But it's a narrative. This whole thing is a narrative. And the Revelation 12 sign marks the general time that this narrative is going to be continuing, and major steps in that narrative. Now, backing up a little bit to where we are now, we've talked about how this year is very unique with that extremely unique total solar eclipse that happened on March 21st. And how this Jewish year is going to wrap up exactly with another total solar eclipse, which is going on right now, just a short while before the official turnover of the year by the sighting of the new moon. But when we look at the heavens, we see the year started right here when it was starting to make its direct path through Leo. So at the start of the year, you would know that, okay, we're moving into Leo now. There's going to be strong symbolism of the king and the Messiah. And then in conjunction with everything else we've seen, it should have caught our attention and told us that time is very short. And we've been seeing basically the path of this year, how it's been very unique and so many signs calling our attention to it. And for most of this year, Jupiter has been entirely within the constellation of Leo. It's come up real close to the visual border and even the border that astronomy assigns to the different constellations. But it's still, with its motion, it's still in Leo right now. And that's where it's hanging out right now. And we've seen some very significant celestial signs happen while Jupiter was here in Leo, which is also significantly recognized by its sickle, strong overtones of a harvest. But we saw the first star of Bethlehem Echo sign on June 30th. But then on October 29th was the second star of Bethlehem Echo reminder as we are approaching the paw, the hind leg. And then right at the turn on January 17th, when it started turning back toward the paw of Leo, that is when Venus became the morning star. That is also when Comet Catalina made its close approach, with strong symbolism of purifying. And that's what the bride needs to be doing. As the Messiah approaches, we need to purify ourselves. And then on February 23rd was when the moon and Jupiter traveled together in the night sky. And then on March 21st, it will be doing the same thing again. All right on either side, so to speak, time-wise, of the paw of Leo. And this is extremely important to recognize what's been going on and then what is going on right now. Genesis 49, 9 through 12. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, they are gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass's colt unto the choice vine, he washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Very important passage here. Now, like with all prophetic passages, there's multiple implications in different shadows and patterns. But one important one that we're looking at right now, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Of course, Shiloh is a reference to Messiah, Jesus Christ. this prophetic passage is stating that the gathering unto Messiah will happen while the scepter is between Judah's feet, the overtones and shadows of it. Now, this is part of a prophetic narrative. It is fulfilled in part, of course, during the Star of Bethlehem, the original one, when Jesus Christ, the Messiah, came and was born then. And this is one of the prophetic passages that the wise men were most likely consulting when they were looking at Jupiter and Venus, what many consider to be a strong conjunction that pointed to the Star of Bethlehem, the birth of the Messiah. But we're also seeing overtones because it's narrative, and as you can see, it goes all the way to the end of the tribulation period. But this one particular aspect, the gathering of the people to Messiah, Shiloh, will happen while the scepter of Judah is between his feet. And right now we find Jupiter in Leo, a reference to Judah and all that. We find ourselves right at his feet. And just for not too much longer, August is going to be the latest that it will be in Leo. But we find ourselves right now moving around the hind foot of Leo the lion with so many celestial and prophetic events coming together right now. This needs to catch our attention. There's going to be a gathering to the Messiah during this time sometime. I don't know the day, I don't know the future, but the celestial clock is telling us this is the time. Coupled with that narrative is Micah 5:2-3. But thou, Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me that is to be a ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. Therefore will he give them up, until the time that she which travaileth hath brought forth. Then the remnant of his brethren shall return unto the children of Israel. The Revelation 12 sign is continuing the narrative and story. And that is going to be the time of the woman who gave birth, which is a reference to Israel. Israel gave birth to the Messiah, and is talking about her time. So the celestial sign is identifying who is the her, and it specifically mentions that the Messiah is in heaven at that sign, so it's making you know that it's not about him, it's all about her. It's about Israel at that time, the Revelation 12 sign. And during that time, not necessarily on the day, but in that time, there's going to be an even stronger gathering of the remnant of his brethren, the Hebrew people, at that time. And when you read the Revelation 12 sign, you know that Leo is connected in with it. These narratives are connected. During the time of Leo, there's going to be a gathering of the Messiah's people, who is his bride. And then from that time onward is going to be focusing on gathering the remnant of his brethren, the Israelites. And both of these celestial markers are pointing to narratives that are ongoing. And the Leo narrative, with the garments washed in the blood of grapes and all that, that's going to be wrapping up at the end of the tribulation at Armageddon. These are narratives. These are signs. They have different aspects to them. Leo the lion is about gathering together of the redeemed, his people. And the Revelation 12 is focusing now on the Israelites with the further gathering of the remnant. The remnant of the people and his brethren started to be gathered at the rebirth of Israel. So that passage has already started and continued, but it's going to be even stronger during this time. And each celestial sign has its own special markers to tell you exactly when it is. The one, we know it can go no later than early August 2016. But especially right now, while Jupiter is near the paw, the hind paw of Leo is when it's most expected. And then the Revelation 12 sign is a specific sign to that period when all that will happen as well. And we've seen a lot in this year drawing our attention, and we see our attention especially brought to right now, why we are at the hind paw, why Jupiter's at its brightest, and why we find ourselves at the culmination of a lot of other types, shadows, celestial signs, prophetic signs, so much coming together right now. Again, I do not know the future. I'll just keep you updated on what we see on the radar. But time is very short. We must make sure we are ready. As we see the day approaching, we do not know the day or the hour specifically, but we do see the day approaching, and we must get ourselves ready and provoke and encourage each other unto love and to good works, and so much more at this time. Revelation 5:5. And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a Lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth. And he came, and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, and open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred, and tongue, and people, and nation, and hast made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. And I beheld, and I heard the voice of many angels round about the throne, and the beasts, and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000, and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power, and riches, and wisdom, and strength, and honor, and glory, and blessing. And every creature which is in heaven, and on the earth, and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, heard I saying, Blessing, and honor, and glory, and power be unto him that sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb, forever and ever. And the four beasts said, Amen. And the 24 elders fell down, and worshipped him that liveth forever and ever. The Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Lamb, our Redeemer, he is coming for his bride. Let us be sober. Let us be vigilant. Let us be ready. Serve Christ first and highest above all else. Maranatha.